right, so I can't let you go. You're an epidemiologist, so we have to talk about this unbelievable experience that the world is going through right now with COVID-19. I mean, give me your overall thoughts about what you're seeing in terms of treatments and vaccines and response by governments, and then let's dig a little deeper into that.
Yeah, well, that's a loaded question, but I'll do my best. Definitely unprecedented time. This is a highly virulent virus, which means it spreads easily, and it's it definitely is dangerous, specific to elderly patients, people that have secondary complications, asthma. Typically they get bronchitis or any what we call upper respiratory infections, heart, cardiac issues, hypertension. But now it's looking like as we progress, as the peak progresses, and more population is infected, you probably recognize that the ages of the patients get lower too. So it's not like young people can't get the infection and severe infection from it. So it's an interesting virus. It's highly virulent. I think we're doing our best right now at looking at which medications are going to work. There's several antivirals out there that we are trying. Everybody's pretty interested and excited about hydrochloroquine, which was used for malaria medication. It's showing some effects with azithromycin combinations, but we're not there yet. So hopefully they are working on, there's probably about 9 different companies, at least that we know of, that are working on vaccines.
Yeah.
That's a difficult process. But the best thing we can do is what everyone's saying to do: social distancing. Be on Zoom if you need to do an interview,
Yeah.
not in person. But seriously, social distancing is the only way to really slow it down, which lessens the burden on the hospitals. The problem with the hospital system is it's not built for this bolus effect of patients going into the hospitals at once.
So now explain, why are we dealing with this so much differently than we did, say, H1N1 back in 2009? Is it the contagiousness of it?
It is. It's absolutely, that's exactly what, that's the facts, right? It's a lot more contagious, more virulent, it spreads easy. You see it's spreading pretty easily. Healthcare workers on the front lines are at high risk right now. We're doing everything we can at CURE to support them. We also make some products for the immune system. Vitamin D3 is really a big deal for the immune system. So we're doing some donations to healthcare workers for first defense. I mean, you're really keeping your immune system up. It's very effective for respiratory infections. But really, these healthcare workers, I mean, we have to supply them with the mask and we have to supply them with the ventilators. I think we probably didn't realize how bad this was, and we weren't prepared, I think, for this large hit, I'd say, in New York and Michigan, and you're seeing it in New Orleans. I mean, the states that reacted slower to social distancing are actually getting hit pretty bad right now. If you look at that compared to California, who really implemented social distancing pretty early on, that spike is not as it's not as fast of a buildup, an infection rate.
Well, and I think we've all got an education on science and all of this. I mean, I've always kind of heard, wash your hands, and I have children, and so I explained to them how the soap and water breaks down the lipids of the virus, and that's
all right. That's exactly right.
Right, so they know why they're doing this every time. They're washing their hands many times a day. So we've really all gotten a lesson. I mean, do you think this is something we'll be dealing with a lot as we are increasingly more global? There's a lot more travel. I mean, we just had, SARS, and we had H1N1. I mean, is this something we're going to be dealing with every 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, I think so. I think, as you said, the population, number one, population's growing, as we know. So, we migrate into areas, building construction in different areas where we're interacting more with wildlife. We're interacting more with, people being consolidated in cities. So, and then they travel globally, to your point. So yeah, I think that this is kind of a new norm. I think it teaches us a lesson on how to be careful when we travel. To your point, washing hands, how really important that is. If you look at SARS and MERS and then now COVID-19, they're coronaviruses, right? So they've probably had some adaptation in other mammal species or animals, and it could be rodents, it could be anything. It basically then got transferred onto humans, and creating that population migrating into animal spaces also has its own issues. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's fascinating how all this happens. So, I mean, in terms of, I guess, just so do you think like, and I know I'm a business reporter, so I'm very conscious of the jobless numbers that we're seeing in small businesses and things like that. I mean, is there a way to thread that needle? Social distancing and running a restaurant just don't really go together. I mean, how do we make sure we don't crush our economy while still keeping people as healthy as possible? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, that's the toughest balancing act I think that anyone has to deal with. And that's why, look, it's difficult for the government to figure out, okay, what's the best approach to this? Because they are balancing, health, right? Everyone's lives, and potential risk to that with the economy. And to your point, I mean, how do you balance, a restaurateur, trying to build his clientele and basis, and now they got to be socially distant, and that might be the new norm. So is it an opportunity for them to build out a new type of infrastructure within that business? I don't know the answer to that,
Yeah.
but that's a difficult question. I wish I knew the answer to that.
Oh, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And because you don't want your small businesses to go under, but yet you don't want everybody sick. And you certainly don't want to reopen too quickly and then have to close everything down in another
Right.
3 weeks, 4 weeks, if there's another eruption. So really tough, really tough.
Yeah, yeah. But we see restaurants in our area, I don't know about your area in New York, really still functioning and trying to get, trying to have food ready for people that need that takeout. I think that's what we see in California right now. I don't know if in New York you have restaurants that are still open for takeout.
Yeah, most of them
But
have closed,
they
at
close,
least
yeah.
around here. And a lot of people left New York, and they're kind of getting grief for that now because they've left and went to the Hamptons and places
Yes, yeah.
maybe, weren't
Spread,
good.
yes,
So that's a whole other issue. But
that is.
yeah, it's pizza delivery is doing
There
pretty
you go.
good. But some of the others are not.
Yeah.